Cool. Here we go with episode number, I don't remember, 17, I think it was.
17?
From
17,
There we go. Good. So, hey guys, back for another episode. In this one, we're going to be talking about how to build an ecom business around a community. So, Chris and I were talking about that earlier today, and I'm sure we've covered it previously in other episodes and whatnot. But I find that a lot of stores out there, and don't get me wrong, I'll say this, but don't get me wrong, that a lot of stores sell to everybody, and that's fine. There's plenty of 9-figure brands out there, plus and 8-figure brands and 7, and they sell to everybody. They sell, hey, if you've got teeth, we'll sell you toothpaste. Do you know what I mean? Blah, 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 well, if you've got whatever, you like, anyway, you know where I'm going with that. But
if you're a human,
if you're breathing, we'll sell you, I don't know, something, cigarettes that'll stop that happening. I don't know. But one thing that I see that's really beneficial for stores when they're trying to kind of get some traction is to really find a community with a sizable audience that they can actually sell their products to. So, for example, right, I was talking to a dude yesterday, and he sells fishing gear, and he's like, and one of the first things I said to him was, do you have a brand strategy? He's like, no. I'm like, show me your website. I'm like, cool, your website kind of looks like it speaks to everybody. And he's like, yes. And I go, do you sell to everybody? He's like, no. I'm like, who do you sell to? He's like, basically like men that spend a lot of money. They're enthusiasts, they go after big game fishing, and they, they're not like going after trout and, stuff like that. This is the kind of customer that we really sell to. I'm like, cool. So when we redo your brand strategy and we redo your website that currently has like 65,000 products on it, like we might focus it more around the fact that positioning you as like the go-to guy in Australia, that is like the big game fishing guy, because those guys will go, yeah, I'll spend $900 on a reel and $2,000 on a rod, and another $1,000 on the hooks and the sinkers and the lures and blah 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 blah. It's like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. So, as opposed to him trying to compete with the likes of like BCF or Anaconda or whatever, where
generalist fishing interest.
General, yeah.
I go once a week. Yeah, I go once a month with the kid, or once a year. At Christmas, I go fishing. Yeah,
and you go there and you have a crap experience because they don't know anything. Anyway, it's like some 16-year-old kid that's being told to sell them a trout rod that is 5 foot long and holds, like 40-pound line, and then that person goes fishing, like they catch anything. Geez, I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? So, whereas like with this business, like it's fishing business, it's like sell to these people, sell these products, sell at this price, give them this experience, give them this kind of warranty. Go and post in these kinds of communities. If those communities don't exist, go and make your own community. Go and make a Facebook group, go and make a Reddit group, go and make TikTok videos, go and make a YouTube channel. Big game fishing. All we do is review the latest and greatest products for you. We don't talk about like the $25 Kmart rod that you can buy from Kmart, obviously. So, and I say this because, again, I use my previous business as an example a lot of the time, but like I built that business to like, millions of dollars a year, largely by sitting on nerd forums. Hi nerd, my old customers. Hello, hope you're doing well. I was one of them, still am. So like I'd go on there and we'd all be like, hey, what's the best modem that goes really fast, that has broadband and has wireless and technology and has a VPN? And I'm like, I knew the answers. They knew to come to me because I was a guy who had the answers. And same thing. That's how you can build your business. So again, you see that a lot in the space. There's a lot of like mompreneurs in the space, and they sell stuff to kids with specific type of needs, or the mums sell specific kind of stuff to people with pets or clothing or whatever. And these ones, they have $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year businesses, and they're, you'd almost say like they're a household name. Like that's the go-to place that you buy to buy that product.
So if you got this specific thing, I think that again, I always like to link back to previous episodes when the time's relevant. But I think in one of the last episodes we talked about you as a business owner kind of having passion and curiosity and interest Now, this is kind of the same, right? But it's kind of the inverse, where you tap into an audience that has curiosity and passion and interest, and they just love this thing. That person is going to spend much more time and much more money because they're invested in that thing, right? That like the big game fishing guy, he's got an identity of being the big game fishing guy. So he's going to be much more willing to spend $5,000 on the latest reel if it's going to help him catch one extra fish, so he can show it on his Facebook page or show off to his mates, because that's really important to him. Another one that comes up is like golf. Like golfers will spend $500, $1,000 on a driver to drive 2 extra yards on the thing, so they can get a score, get one, bring their score down. But people who have that curiosity, have that passion, have community, are going to spend more money because they're already kind of psychologically, mentally invested in a thing so much that they'll just spend. Like for me, I haven't quite for a while, but I used to rock climb a lot, and I would always buy gear. Like there wasn't enough gear to buy. I could always buy something else to get a little bit better, or I'm going to go type this type of climbing next weekend, so I need to buy some smaller gears, or I need to buy some more ropes, or I need to buy some more this. There's always something more to buy, and you're happy to get it because it kind of feeds into. No, you talk a lot about status all the time, Paul, but it feeds into my status as I'm a rock climber, and I'm not just a rock climber. I'm a really good rock climber, and I'm trying to be an expert rock climber. And I want to show that I want to get better at this thing. I'm super curious. I read all the books. I watch videos. This is my whole world. So when I go to buy something, I'm also already really informed. So again, linking back a couple of episodes, we talked about the buyer hierarchy, right? Someone who's really informed, like the fishing guy, like the rock climbing guy, like the golf guy, they're right down at that. They're at product level. They know exactly the driver that they want to buy. They know the price, and they're happy to spend it because they know that the result that they're going to get from it. So this person's like, I want the X125, whatever Musashi driver, and they'll find it and they'll buy it and they'll pay the money because they're at that level. They're just ready to buy if they know they want it. You don't have to convince them to buy stuff because they've already convinced themselves. They've done the research. So that's enough. So I know that's kind of long-winded, but that's that's why this stuff works. I think that's something I'd like to really kind of get across on these podcasts is we talk about marketing and we talk about strategies and stuff that you should do, and you should do this and you should have one of these. I want to get a bit into like why it actually works. And I think hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of why this stuff works. You tap into a passionate community. Those people are they've invested themselves in it. So they're willing to pay the money because they already know the benefit, and that builds their status inside that community more than just something that's general, and they kind of like it. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe you can kind of see that distinction.
What you said there is like write that down, is they're buying status to enter that community that they're passionate about and they want to win in, right? So for example, like I did BMX professionally at a very high level for a long time and was ranked really highly in Australia. But for the first couple of years I did it, I had a crap bike, right? I had a secondhand Haro and I just like modded it myself and did stuff and blah, 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 blah. But over time, I literally bought like the best bike that I could buy in Australia. And I was one of the best riders in Australia. And I'd like go to the local BMX track and people would be like, holy crap, your bike, how much is your bike worth? And I'll be like, oh, like $4,000. I didn't pay that. I got it secondhand, obviously. They're like, $4,000. I go, Jesus. And they're like, you can, and they'd know the name, they'd know the brand. I'd go, and I could pick it up and they could put it above their head with one hand, a BMX bike, you know what I mean? And I'd go and jump and I would lay down a wheelie bin and I would jump over a wheelie bin like it was nothing. And I'd be like, wow, you know what I mean? So there's a community there of BMX kids at the thing, and then I'd race properly as well. Keep in mind, I was one of the kids at the time. I was like 16, they were like 16, but I worked my ass off to buy that bike. But, the status that came with that as well and that got me into that community is kind of what I'm trying to get to here. So in that example, you can go and buy a bike again at or Kmart or Target or whatever bike shops, but then you can go to a specialized BMX store and they might just sell a certain type of trick bike or race bike or whatever kind of bike, or half pipe bike's even different again, you know what I mean? And you're like, I'm buying that because I want the status associated with it. So if you use that as an example, like the BMXer Logan Martin from up Queensland way, he's an Aussie guy. He won first in the Olympics, right? You know, and he rides a, now I can't remember the bike that he rides. I know the gloves he wears, the helmet he wears, I think it's like Hyper or something like that. But I'm sure like everybody was like, where the hell did he get his bike from? I want one of those bikes. You know what I mean? So whoever owns that e-com store, it's all they got to do is like be where the places where the people like where Logan, his people hang out with, be there, and they'll be like, cool, you're my guy. I want to buy that bike. You know what I mean? I want that brand. I want that bike. That dude's an Olympian. I'll buy it. I must be nearly as good as him if I just buy that bike. This is, this is the point I'm trying. Not going to happen. Logan's probably been riding for 20 years, but you get my point, yeah?
Yeah. And again, like come back to rock climbing, where even when I haven't been climbing much, I've found like a really cool Japanese brand of they kind of do a bit of rock climbing gear. They do rock climbing shoes, but they make like like jeans basically, and they're jeans, but they're kind of really stretchy. They're made for like bouldering. They're really, really cool, but they're like $300 a pair. But I went and I bought a couple of pairs of them because they were really good jeans, but they also gave me that they were bold. Like I knew that they were bouldering jeans. Yeah. I knew they were rock climbing, so I could talk to them. These are bouldering, these are bouldering jeans because I'm a climber and blah blah. So it gave me that status. It gave me a conversation piece, and I was willing to invest in it and have those things, so I could have that conversation, or I could feel a certain level of status because I had that brand. I had that cool thing that related to the thing that I was passionate about. If I didn't care about climbing, there's no way I would even look at that brand or buy those jeans. But purely because I'm passionate about it, curious about it, I was involved in it, I'm in the community. Now I've got something that makes me feel better inside that community. So similar to your bike, like it makes you feel better, gives you a certain status. So the more you can do that within your own business, whether that's for mums or kids or dogs or pets or whoever you're selling to, the more you can. Again, in other episodes we've talked about focusing, right, and actually doing less things, getting really, really good at one thing. And this is kind of another way to think about that. Like focus on one community, build your product around one thing, and get really, really good about servicing that industry, that niche, that community, that tribe, rather than trying to do all things for all people.
Like we have a client, and I won't tell you exactly what he sells because then everyone else will go and do it. But he sells a certain type of product for a certain type of vehicle. You know what I mean? Let's just assume it's the brakes. You know what I mean? And all he sells, and it's not brakes, but let's assume I do know a company, and all they sell is brakes because I've bought like brakes for my Subaru. I can use even them as an example, yeah. But so those guys, all they sell is high performance brakes at about half the price that I can buy from Subaru, and they sell brakes to all the rally car guys all in Australia. So the dudes that go out drifting and all that are like, I don't do that. I'm got a really expensive car that I drive to the supermarket, but it's got really expensive brakes. But I'm like, where can I buy them cheaper, and who's going to have the really good quality ones? And does everybody else trust this store? So I go to their site. I found them in a Facebook forum, actually. Facebook forum or something like that. I went Subaru and I'm like, hey, where's the best brakes for this? And go, oh, we all go to these guys. They're in Somerton Road in Campbellfield. I'm like, sick, went down there, bought the brakes, knew what he was talking about, knew his community. Everyone rated him really highly. I'm like, cool. And I got them from half the price that I'd buy from Subaru. They're better, they last longer, they look exactly the same. I'm like, happy days. You know what I mean? So that's exactly the kind of model that you want. Really good product that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, that you care about, that you make lots of money about, that there's communities that feel exactly the same way that you do about your business. People actually want to buy your stuff. You're not selling junk that you don't care about. Like,
that's where you start to build really good referral business as well, right? That's where you can build genuinely profitable referrals. Is you are this, like you go to a forum and they go, we all shop here, like all of us on this forum, we all shop at this guy because he's the best. That guy must make a shit ton of money because he's specializing. They're not going, oh, like I go to Auto Barn and I go to Kmart Auto and I go to here. You go, no, we go to Dave because Dave's the absolute guru and specialist in this space at that thing that you're talking about.
Yeah. So here's the only warning, right? So if you dig into me and my background, you'll go to this. There'll be forums out there, and you'll be like, holy crap, Paul had 20,000 posts on some of these forums, and I'll give you the secret, right? So on those forums, I probably would have done $20 million worth of products as a result selling those forums, right? And here's the unfortunate bit about when you're in a community: 99% of people will buy from you and never say anything about you. They'll be like, oh yeah, but he's good, blah blah blah. But the whingers will always comment, right? So you have to. So once you like infiltrate a community, and if you're doing, I assume like me, if you're doing like 2,000-3,000 orders a month, I can say unfortunately you're going to get hit with probably 5 to 10 whingers a month. It doesn't matter what you do. You can be nice to them. You can insult them to try and win them over. Blah blah. They're going to whinge at you. So my big caveat with these is like bend over backwards to help those communities, because these one people can kind of cause you, a lot of lost income if you don't kind of not pander to their needs, but you really need to you really need to manage them. But it's a little thing. Like again, for me, I would spend like 6 hours a day helping all the people and 20 minutes a day dealing with the whingers. But the positive people message you privately. The whingers post publicly. So they'll be like, I bought the brakes from Dave, and I was driving and the brakes fell off and I hit a building. Like his crap, blah blah. Like, dude, that's not even my fault. You know what I mean? So just be careful of that. Just be careful. So
yeah. I put his brakes on and I brake too hard and I hit a car, but it's totally the brake's fault.
It's the brake's fault.
One star Google review.
Yeah,
but, I mean, there's people like that out there.
I ordered 10 products from Paul, and I told Paul that Paul's like, yeah, I'll ship your order when everything's here. Didn't ship for like 2-3 weeks later because 3 parts weren't there, and I cracked the shits. He did tell me at the start, but I had to wait a while. I'm like, still annoyed me, and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, sorry, dude. It is what it is. So Anyway, take that advice. Find your community. If your community doesn't exist, go and build a Facebook group. Dead set. Like I've got a course on how to grow Facebook groups. I'll give it to you for free. Like, go watch it. Go how to set it up, how to add people, email people in your database. Go, hey, come join our community. Keep your competitors out of the community unless they sell stuff that's complementary. We'll talk about that in another episode. But start building your own community outside of outside of your business as well. So not just via an email list. It's not just via a Facebook page or an Instagram page. Build a location where your customers can talk to each other, or go and find locations where you can talk to your customers on those communities by sponsoring them, by whatever. So maybe in another episode we'll talk about how you can do that as well. But it's just do it. So anyway, hope you got a lot out of this episode. I haven't seen Chris in his $300 pants yet. I'll act really excited when he does rock up, and I'll let you guys know.
Do you want the end of that story?
Sure. Hit me up.
So there's part. So the way that story, or where that story is now, I wore those. They were so good. I literally wore them like every day for like a year, and like the crotch wore out of both pairs of them. But I will definitely go and buy 2 new pairs of them. So a product that in the end wasn't super functional, I'll still go and buy more of them because I enjoyed wearing them, and again the status is there. So even though I literally wore them every day for like 2 years, and they wore out as they do.
I literally just bought for those of you that know Ryan Schumann, he's a massive influencer in America. Cool dude, like straight shooter, like fucking like real good dude. I might tag him in this episode. He might find it interesting. He'd be massive on community. This guy's a beast with communities, right? He has Apex, this and massive thing. Anyway, he posted recently, he's like, I wear these black t-shirts, and he's like, they're great. I don't need to wash. I got to wash them. I don't need to iron them. They last forever, and I just buy new ones every month. I've literally bought the t-shirts from America, and they were well priced. But now I've since chucked out all my other black t-shirts, which I have no shortage of, and I've got all the ones Ryan wears, and they're fantastic. You seen one? I wore one yesterday. You know, don't need to iron them, just wash them, look great, blah blah blah. Again, I bought it because I'm like, he's a pretty successful dude. He's got a good status. I'm going to elevate my black t-shirts that I wear to that level, and then away we go. You know what I mean? So just another example of, you know, like how this applies to the real world as well. Maybe I'll meet Ryan one day and he'll be like, yeah, hey dude, nice t-shirt. And I'm like, thanks for the suggestion. So anyway, you know, so there we go.
Fanboying
All
over there. All right, thanks everyone. Hope you got something out of that one. We won't keep ranting. We'll save that for the next episode. See you then.
So